over a decade, the Church of Living Water has been building solid lives. Reaching cities within Thurston County area is more than an idea our church family developed, but it's a mandate from God. We are called to reach this city. God has blessed us in our efforts, and in the past 10 years, we've grown in ministry and attendance. People from all over the county have come to call Living Water their home. Last year alone, we had more than 800 first-time visitors in our weekend services. Ministries have flourished in all areas with youth camps of over 200 students and children's programs such as VBS and Summer Camp, where more than 500 children experience the power of God each year. Our women's ministry provides special events hosting more than 300 women each month at Girls Night Out, while our Family Support Center gives out thousands of meals every year. God has definitely been at work in the body of Living Water. 10 years ago, we realized that what God was doing spiritually could not be contained in our current physical location. With the number of activities being hosted and the number of people attending, we were simply outgrowing our current facility. We attempted many things to alleviate the growing pains that affect not only our church family, but our neighbors as well. We developed plans to expand our current property and remodel our existing building, but the Lord had other things in mind. We added services to our main campus and an additional service off-site. But even with those additions, our current location could not provide the ability to reach our city or provide the ministry opportunities that God has called us to. As we sought God for the answer to this problem, He gave us His solution. Nearly 7 years ago, God led us to a piece of property on the west side of Olympia, with just over 19 acres positioned right off the freeway and at an affordable price for our church. We knew we had heard from God, and it was time to move to the west side and build a new building. We purchased the land and got to work designing the future home of Living Water. Throughout history, God's people have always faced spiritual opposition when pursuing His purposes. We have not been the exception. We've seen delays in the permit process, increases in building costs, and appeals from local businesses. What began as a 3-year process has now lasted nearly 7 years. Just recently, we received disappointing news that the county commissioners approved phase 1 of our project, but revoked the hearing examiner's approval for future gymnasium and our Christian school. Ephesians tells us that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly realms. We have never seen this process as one to build only a physical structure, but we as a church know that our purpose is spiritual. And along the way, God has been using men and women within our church family to keep this at the forefront of the process.
I remember in one of our council meetings early on before the first fundraising program started, where we were ready to launch the fundraising initiative, and yet the Lord at that point had us put a hold on that. And He said, well, you've planned and you're ready to move ahead. I want you to stop for a minute, and I just want you to seek my face. And so for about 4 months, we held off on that until about February in the year before we started that campaign. And in that time, the council got together and some of the council wives and others. And what the Lord began to show us is that He wanted us, even at that time, to grow and mature as a body as well as individuals, so that we as a body would be strong and united to walk in His power and be able to minister to this community. And He wanted us to grow in our current church. He wanted us to grow as a body spiritually, so that we could be the body we needed to be in this new church, actually in this new building.
As I've been a part of Living Water for the last 10 or 12 years, one thing I've seen, and that's that we have a passion for our community. One of the things as we launched into this building program that we knew God has called us to do is to reach the next generation and to reach our community. That's why this building is so important. It's not a magical thing that's going to change us, but it's going to be a tool that's going to allow us to fulfill the mission and destiny that God's called us to as a church. It's time for us, church, to step up like never before, to realize that God has given us a unique moment in time where we can reach the next generation, and this building is going to be a tool to help us to do it.